It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome in on a Tuesday, a terrific Tuesday, 20th of December, 5 days before Christmas. Tonight's the third candle of Hanukkah. Hope all of you who are enjoying the Festival of Lights are having a great time. I've got to play catch-up. I missed yesterday, and so I'm not sure where to start. World Cup, some people say the greatest ever final. We'll see. Matt O'Sullivan's going to join us at 10:12. We'll talk a little bit about the future of American soccer as we put the World Cup to bed. You know, the next World Cup is in North America. So Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. all get in without having to qualify, which is a cool deal. But you know they're going to 48 countries.
Wow.
From 32 to 48, which is smart. They only do it once every 4 years. The world is more and more captivated now that North America is more into this thing. So that makes a lot of sense. The Tigers against A&M, boy, that was physical. Even the players said maybe the most physical game was a toss-up between Auburn and A&M. I kind of think, you tell me, J-Mo, from your coaching point of view, I thought that might be the most physical. I know Matt Dillon made a big point on the radio broadcast of going, man, this is a war.
I think with the free throws, certainly you could say it was a more physical game just with the number of free throws. There was a lot more open space and getting out on the run in the Auburn game. I would say A&M was more physical.
I read Twitter. There were more, how do I put this, complaints, distress, pointing of fingers at the officials, particularly Pat Adams, than any time I've ever seen. Now, the game was 2 hours and 54 minutes old.
There was a delay for the clock, too.
But that was about 7-8 minutes.
Okay.
That wasn't that long. In truth, these SEC games are so physical that, you know, the game with Alabama was 2.5 hours. This was longer. Did you find, I'm curious, I haven't talked to my two guys who are officials, who shall go nameless at the moment, but they work in good conferences. They know their stuff. Usually if I point out something, they prove to me I'm wrong. I wonder if this was a poorly officiated game. We've seen some weird calls, like the one over the back on Alo, which turns out to be, if Alo is moving back, it's on him. I still haven't looked at that video again. But that was a strange call. I will tell you, the maddest that I have seen Penny Hardaway was when their really good point guard Taylor went down, and the Tigers had a break, and Kendrick Davis was about to score on the fast break, and he stopped play. Well, this is why I think Penny was so angry. I really didn't ask him this verbatim like this. But in the game against Alabama, Malcolm Dandridge was down for 2 possessions, and they didn't stop the darn game. And here, Memphis is on a 3-on-1 fast break. They're going to score. And Pat Adams stops the game. So now he told Penny he was always going to stop because he's had issues with that before, and he's always going to stop him. And I know Penny was PO'd because of what happened with Malcolm Dandridge. But that was strange. The flop at the end of the game by same guy, I think, Taylor. And once you grab the ball, which DeAndre Williams did, and run, that's an automatic tee. That everybody should know that from now on. We all learn, because I don't think anybody knew that, even Penny, until after the game. But it was explained to me by a supervisor of officials. If you grab a ball and run, you're getting teed. Automatic. So now we all know that. So that one's justified. Was the 5th foul justified, though? That looked like a flop to me. And that was why DeAndre Williams grabbed the ball. Now, DeAndre Williams has to wise up. I think he has. I know he said it before, but I think this time, I even said to him, he was kind enough, he wasn't even supposed to be on our post-game radio show. And he came on himself to take responsibility for it, which I thought was big. And I said, don't talk to the referees. You're a marked man. Don't talk. He goes, that's the best advice I've gotten. And he shouldn't. He needs to just accept it and walk away because you're never changing their mind. And all they do is get mad at you.
Certainly, it's a rare time where a player in college basketball gets 6 fouls. If you look at the stats, he had 6 fouls.
I told him he made history.
He did. To be honest, I didn't actually even recognize that the game could have been poorly officiated until actually Brian Dacus texted me and said Twitter is going crazy right now about people complaining about officials.
I've never seen it that way.
So neither have I, but I didn't notice it just watching the game. Certainly not biased one way or another. If there were bad calls, I didn't notice them going one way or the other. The 6 foul thing is certainly peculiar. I've never seen anything like that, but I didn't think they affected the game adversely necessarily. But
I do.
Really?
There were so many free throws unjust.
But like you said, it was a very physical game, though.
Yeah,
it was physical.
It was, and I guess they got to get control of it. It seems to me there are a couple of officials, and I'm going to just say it straight out. I think Pat Adams is one of them, that they think people actually pay their tickets to watch them officiate.
He's a look-at-me guy for sure. There's a couple of those. Oh, yeah, he's big.
And I've never understood that because to me, the mark of a really good official is when you don't notice them. And the flow of the game goes. Now, there are times that they have to take over because the game gets out of hand if they don't. Maybe this was the case or they thought that. I don't know. But, there were a lot of free throws and a lot of stoppages, and that wasn't even for replays. This was strictly because there were fouls and there were arguments, and it was crazy. But Memphis outlasted them, which is crazy, and we'll talk with Mike DeCourcy about this. How does Memphis slip in the polls? They take the number 4 team in the country to the wire at their place, and they beat A&M, which was a preseason top 25. No, they're not living up to the billing. I think they'll get better as it goes because they got a bunch of new guys. I think they're a lot better than they were earlier in the year. How do they go from 26 to 31 and lose 15 votes? That's crazy to me.
Oh, they didn't get even as many votes for the top 25. Well, there were some big upsets this week, too. Memphis, although, had one against Auburn that people didn't expect. It's interesting. I'm not really sure how the AP voters work there, but like you said, 15 less receiving votes this week.
Yeah.
So it's hard to justify. There's teams, Auburn's still in the top 25. People are upset about that. It's wild.
Crazy. There's a lot of parity. If you look at the first poll of top 25 to now, it's a lot different. More different, it seems to me, than most years. So we'll see about that. And Mike DeCourcy will join us at the end of the program. In between is Jeff Moore. We got lots to talk about there. For instance, J-Mo, I'm not sure I've ever seen a Bill Belichick team do a stupider thing than they did to the Raiders. The Raiders gave away one earlier, and we say things even out. Well, it certainly evened out. Because how can the Bills have the ball? Okay, you're trying to score. I get that. But you're tied. You're going over. It's not like you're losing the game where you try everything. You go to overtime. They get the ball. Nice gain. What does he get to about the 30-yard line? And then they can do crazy things going backwards, and the guy lost the ball. And I guess he's looking for his quarterback.
And it wasn't even a lateral play, they said after the game. It was just him trying to do too much.
Oh, obviously. No question. And did you see how when the guy intercepts the lateral and he's on his way and he knocks over the quarterback, Jones? Oh, my gosh. That was Keystone Cop stuff. And that could cost the Patriots a playoff spot.
That was a legendary game. And also, it's important to note, I think, and we'll talk about this tomorrow with Coach Speak, is they play the Bengals this week. And the last time, remember, Bill Belichick has the famous "We're on to Cincinnati," where he answered every question in a press conference with "We're on to Cincinnati."
Right.
He did something similar yesterday.
Well, what are you going to say about that play?
Exactly.
Unless you rip your own team. which you cannot really do at this point because you're still hoping to make the playoffs. Wow. I mean, that was the dumbest thing. Aaron Rodgers keeps Green Bay alive last night. Jalen Hurts runs too much. Bears knock him out. Maybe of Christmas. We'll talk about that with Jeff Moore in studio. That comes your way in about 15 minutes. In the meantime, I'll let you know I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. Don't forget the Christmas sale. You still have got till probably the end of the month. And you can get excellent deals on pool tables, shuffleboards. I think they have air hockey on sale, too. Saunas, tubs. If you're tired from shopping, check out the hot tubs and the massage chairs. They're the best. All you got to do is get to I-40 in Whitten Road and see our good friends at Family Leisure enjoy the Christmas sale. Matt O'Sullivan's going to put a bow on the World Cup from this year. Mr. O'Sullivan, good morning. Thank you for all of your dedicated analysis throughout this last month and a half. We appreciate it. I got to start with this. Many people are saying this was the best World Cup final ever, which is hard for me to fathom because, we don't tend to go much further than 15 or 20 years in our collective memory banks. You, of course, go much further with your advanced age. So
I got a scary one for you. The first World Cup game I saw.
Yeah.
1970, closed circuit TV.
Wow.
In the Cow Palace in San Francisco.
That is funny. I remember closed circuit. I never knew they did that for World Cup, though.
It was only the final. It was only the final.
And everybody's now saying Messi's the greatest ever. He passed Maradona. What people? These people are forgetting Pelé. What?
Oh, they're forgetting. And you can't take decades and decades apart as in any sport. Not doable. You know what? Messi is one of the greatest ever.
Right.
Pelé is one of the greatest ever. Maradona is. Ronaldo is. There, and then there's modern day guys.
What about guys like Beckenbauer, Germany, when they won a World Cup? I mean, people are forgetting those guys.
And short memories. All they remember. You know what Messi did what the Argentinian team did, Messi leading it, is. They put a bow on it, and as you remember, you asked me who I liked in the World Cup. And
you did. I got to give you credit. You picked. I think you went Argentina, then Brazil. Isn't that how you had it?
Brazil.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were going to meet in a semi, so that was never final. Real, but the reality is with a little bounce here and a little bounce there, and their goalkeeper. Your Argentinian goalkeeper made a save late in overtime, a foot save that was just phenomenal.
Oh, my gosh. Yes,
phenomenal.
That's Martinez.
That's why it was an exciting game and one of the best ever. We had regular time. If Argentina scores a goal and goes up 3-0,
it's over.
The game's over. It's done, and it's in the second half's the boring half.
But didn't you think with 12 minutes to go in the game, it was still over? I mean, nobody saw this coming where, once again, it's a penalty in the box that gives you a PK and gets you back in the game.
And it gets you back in the game. And, as has been said for a million years, one of the most dangerous leads in a soccer game is 2-0. It's kind of like we got plenty, and then all of a sudden it's split in half, and all of a sudden they're coming at you. It took them 90 seconds to tie it.
I know.
90 seconds. Boom, boom. And the second goal, I want you to know how hard the second goal
that
is.
was a beauty.
Zimbabwe. You have to know that he takes it out of the air and volleys it into that back corner. Keeper got a couple fingers on it. It was hit so hard.
Yeah, a lot of pace. Mm-hmm.
In, done. And then you're going, oh, my goodness, this is a game. And then all of a sudden, there's chances before the 90 and extra time's over. Then we go to overtime, and you say, okay, Argentina goes up 3-2. The game's over, right? Nah. This is why it was such a good game. And it's not the best. Certainly one of the most exciting finals. It wasn't a 1-0 and somebody bunkers back. It was end-to-end activity and action.
I will tell you, I will remember three things. Really, it'll end up being four, but three things that stick in my mind. One, you're deflated. You've given up the 2-0 goal, and the goal they score that is just onside on the rebound that Messi puts in with just enough pace that it gets in the goal and it's kicked out. Oh, my gosh. That gives you 3-2. Then that incredible goal by that you just mentioned by Mbappe that is unreal,
phenomenal.
right? And then the Martinez kick save.
It's like a hockey goalkeeper.
Exactly.
He comes out, spreads himself, and I'm just trying to get my body in the way.
And then,
phenomenal.
And then Martinez, he could have been the Golden Boot guy because he makes 2 saves off PKs in the shootout that wins the darn thing.
He actually makes 1 save, but he does psychological damage to the France shooter on the other one.
He did. He missed it wide. Yeah.
Wide.
Yeah.
That's where he kept the ball, and he was like he was going to throw it to him, but then he didn't. Then he threw it behind the goal, and then the guy had to go get another ball, and it was just one of those little mind games that goes on. Little things, and guess what? It worked. Phenomenal,
incredible,
great final, and really a great cup in spite of its location. That the uniqueness about that location was virtually nothing was more than 35 or 40 minutes away from each other.
Wow, it will not be like that at all because there could be days between where they may play in Canada and where they may play in Mexico.
And as we put that to bed, as you put 22 to bed, we talk about 2026, and that one will be in June and July. Okay, during the summer months,
the way it's supposed to be,
when it's supposed to be. But that leads on some venues to warm venues. Okay, now you're going to have Canada, Mexico, U.S. The Mexico cities are Mexico City, Monterrey, and Guadalajara. The Canadian cities are Toronto and Vancouver. Then you've got U.S. You've got 11 cities in the U.S. Seattle, San Francisco, L.A. on the West Coast, KC and Dallas Central, Atlanta, Houston, Boston, Philly, Miami, and New York, New Jersey.
So you're getting us tickets for Atlanta, right?
Oh, come on. The tickets will not go on sale till late 25 or early 26.
You're the soccer rocker. Come on.
I have no doubt that Arthur Blank will send me a bunch of comps.
Yeah, there you
go.
No doubt
about it.
Because Lord knows how much those will cost. My gosh.
Face value won't be too bad. It's
secondary market. Yeah, right.
It's the secondary market that'll kill you. But the uniqueness of this World Cup was they're going to go from 32 teams to 48 teams.
Right.
And Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. will all get in as host countries.
So we don't have to worry about going through any kind of qualifying stuff. You're in.
Correct. As Qatar did the same thing. They didn't, but what they did is then they ran around the world trying to play games to get ready for the World Cup. So it's good news and bad news when you don't qualify because, you have those games to get you ready for the World Cup. In lieu of that, you don't have games. So it will be an opportunity for the existing coach or the new coach to get creative.
There's some controversy, at least on Twitter there is, that Greg Berhalter should not be retained as the United States men's national team coach. I personally do not buy that. I thought he did one heck of a job. I think this team played to its utmost level, and heck, they made the knockout round. So I think the guy deserves to keep this thing together. There are many think differently. What's your opinion?
As you say, I think he did a good job. What people forget is he did it through the pandemic as well, which was not the, in spite of everything, and he did it with the World Cup that was mid-season. So it's always difficult for national team coaches because they're getting little windows of international breaks. And then maybe a month-long off season. So it's not an easy thing to build that camaraderie and to build yourself, a good team. But I think he's done a great job to date. And I have to admit, you always have to say like, well, okay, if not him, then who? It's not, like we talked about, last World Cup and in the prior World Cup in 18, 31 to 32 coaches were fired shortly thereafter. Just because, you didn't win a World Cup. Okay. See you later. Now, we've already had a bunch of firings and new hirings this round. But you can't just say, okay, no. I think you have to evaluate it and say, but if you're not going to have him for a coach, then who you're going to have. England's going through the same thing. Gee whiz, did we do well enough? The uniqueness you've got is, you've got in 2024, you've got all the soccer union cups, like the UEFA Cup, the CONCACAF Cup, and so those cups happen in 2 years. So the question is do you say, okay, well, let's go see how you do there, and then we've got the following year of qualifying. But I mean, if I'm Burkhalter, I'm saying, if you don't sign me to a 4-year contract, I'm not signing up for you. I'll go do the next thing in my life. So it's an interesting dilemma that they're facing. I see no reason not to hire him. He's done a good job, and he's dealt with even the Gio Reyna thing. He dealt with it very well.
I agree. He kept it quiet. It came out on Reyna, and Reyna even acknowledged it. So I would say this: I would hire him for the 4 years. That's me. And if it doesn't happen in 4 years, if you don't make at least the second round of the knockout, then I think you got some justification. Other than that, I don't.
And he's probably gone anyway after 2 rounds. That's a lot.
Yeah.
For the national. I mean, at 2 rounds, that's you're talking about 8 years total. And the second, they don't have to deal with qualifying the next round, and so life was a little different than this round where they had to win their last game, and much different. But he's built a good young, nucleus, and he's going to be able to add to that. Now he's got a little bit of time to add to it and adjust. And he's got some people that were injured that'll come back, and you're going to move. Your 2 center backs, Zimmerman and Ream, are going to move on. You'll move a goalkeeper or 2 on, and you'll start. But you've got time to build on that now, and you're not doing it through a pandemic.
Right.
So it's going to be a much different environment over the next 2 years to continue building. And all those kids that are out there are going to have 2 more years of experience. Hopefully Pulisic, moves out of Chelsea and goes someplace where he gets, regular games. And that's important for all of the guys to get regular games in their clubs. They have to play at their club.
Oh, yeah. He's Matt O'Sullivan. I understand there were some rumors that Fox came after you. But we did sign you to a lifetime contract. So next big international soccer thing, you're with us. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
Always fun. Thanks, guys.
That is Matthew O'Sullivan, the soccer rocker, former USA team member. This portion of the show brought to you by the Eflin Insurance Team. If you would like to have your protection come from someone that's going to get to know you, a collaborative process, then the Eflin Insurance Team is for you. Big Tiger supporters, by the way. 901-386-GER, that's their number for Memphis, 4777. If you're looking for auto program, life insurance, maybe you're looking for home insurance, he's there, and he'll get to know you and your family and protect you with what your budget is. Real simple. He gets to know you. Same thing with business. If you've got a small to mid-sized business, he's perfect with commercial insurance. He'll learn your product, your assets, what your future looks like, what your budget is, and protects you. 901-386-GER. And our title sponsor, as always, it's Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch, where the deferment payment continues all the way through January. What is that, Wolo? Easy. Go get yourself a brand new Hyundai. I don't care what car. You can get a Santa Fe. You can get an Elantra, a Veloster, a Tucson, a Palisade, any of the beautiful Hyundai products that are out there. Take it off the lot and don't worry about paying for 3 months. You got 90 days to make your first payment with Homer Skelton Hyundai. We talk National Football League with Jeff Moore in just 1 minute.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Hey friends, Bill Russell at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers. You're probably thinking now about what to get that wonderful lady in your life for Christmas. And if you want something special, let me give you some advice. Special gifts do not come with a cord or a plug. The best gifts come in small boxes, make her eyes sparkle, and those gifts are our strongest point at Russell Brothers. A beautiful diamond bracelet or perhaps a pair of stunning diamond studs could make you a real hero on Christmas morning. Maybe she's dropped some hints about a gold and diamond necklace, or you want to surprise her with a magnificent ring that says, I love you. Stunning gifts of jewelry come in so many different flavors, and we've got them all just waiting for you at Russell Brothers. We've been helping Memphis shoppers for 5 decades, and we would love to help you become a part of the Russell Brothers family. Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, 4646 Poplar at Perkins, and remember, no cords and no plugs. Let us help you be the best Santa you can possibly be. Russell Brothers Jewelers.
Bienvenidos! Welcome to Los Cabos with 4 locations, Quince, Bartlett, Germantown, and now on Goodman Road. Los Cabos serving the best food in town with quality service and a fun family atmosphere. At Los Cabos, food and drink are an important part of the dining experience, so you get exceptional food with cocktails worthy of that food. You'll find the best margaritas at Los Cabos, along with delicious specialty drinks, handcrafted cocktails, beer, and happy hour specials 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily. Los Cabos is open for lunch and dinner, with lunch specials every day starting at $7. Come enjoy delicious Mexican dishes and seafood at the best sports bars in town. Visit with family and friends and enjoy Los Cabos Mexican Bar and Grill. Los Cabos, now with 4 locations, Quince, Bartlett, Germantown, and their newest location, 3964 Goodman Road, just a few minutes down the road from Getwell. See you soon at Los Cabos.
I'm Kelly Erb with Mark Spensdorf Realtors, and I just had to ask, Sheldon, did you really just buy a set of golf clubs and you never tried them out?
Yep, that's right.
And Sheldon, didn't you tell me whenever you buy a car, you never test drive it?
Again? Yep.
Don't you think that's pretty bizarre since you always tell people to talk to 2 or 3 agents when they sell their home?
Yes, it is. I'm Sheldon Rosengarten, and I'm also with Mark Spensdorf Realtors with Kelly. It's funny, we tell people that you should always talk to more than one agent to find out not only what they think about your home, but more importantly, what they will do for you. And you really need to make sure and include us in the interview process.
I agree, because how are you going to find out about our strategic marketing program with the Shellbucks option? And as people often say, when you want the job done, call Sheldon.
That's Sheldon Rosengarten and Kelly Erb. Call or email us at memphisrelocate.com or 682-1868. Do it now, 682-1868 or memphisrelocate.com.
Ho, ho, ho! I just left those Ford and Toyota dealers. You ought to see their selection of new cars and trucks. And you should see their prices. Santa trades a Sunrise Buick GMC truck. Top trade-in for old sleds, immediate financing, a true bargain lot for cars and trucks under $99.95. And remember, Sunrise specializes in first-time buyers. Want to buy a car or truck and have some left over for the holidays? SunriseMemphis.com, Covington, Pike, Wolf Chase, and Collierville. Happy holidays. Oh, ho, ho, ho.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Always love Tuesdays. We get to chat with our good friend Jeff Moore, the former Volunteer and the former LA Ram, who joins us to talk about the National Football League. This was the craziest week. All the comebacks that occurred, and two amazing things. A 33-0 lead at the half blown by a coach that some question, should he be a coach? And then the dumbest play ever by a Bill Belichick team. Could you believe how the New England Patriots, of all teams, could pull off this lateral thing when they were tied and blow the game to the Vegas Raiders?
That was an unbelievable play, and it's obvious it wasn't called from the sidelines because of the way it was executed. It probably had been practiced a lot, but man, you hate to lose a game under those circumstances. And I'm sure the players were thinking, oh, the game's tied. You know, we've got great field position. It's the end of this run. We're just going to kill the ball. And I'm sure when Jacoby Myers threw that, he wasn't expecting to get a touchdown. Nothing other than just delay what was obviously a game about to go to overtime. And he just didn't see Chandler Jones. He gets up, catches the ball, breaks the tackle. I mean, unbelievable.
So I'm looking at this. If the playoffs started today, the New England Patriots are not in. And that loss is the reason why.
Yeah. But, they're still on the bubble. And for them, with the transitions that they've made post-Tom Brady, that still says a lot to me about how he's still manufacturing pieces, especially as good as that AFC East is this year with the way Miami and Buffalo are playing.
Yeah. The craziest weekend that I can remember, first of all, it's, now that it starts on a Thursday. You're playing Saturday games once college football's over. You had the 33-0 halftime lead that Jeff Saturday and the Colts blew. You've got, I think there were 3 games where teams had 17-0 leads and lost it, Tampa being another one that lost that. Do you remember a crazier weekend?
It's been a while. I mean, and it says a lot of things to me as a former player, because when you get to this point in the season, you've got teams like the Jaguars, for example, that have started to feel themselves, play with some confidence. They were struggling early. You've got players that are on teams that really aren't playing well, that still have to, try to finish strong because they got contract issues coming up. And then you have those teams that have played okay or played well enough to make it to the playoffs, and now they're kind of easing off the brakes a little, off the accelerator a little bit, trying to prepare for the playoffs. And it just makes for these kinds of weekends where anything can happen. I mean, the Raiders and Patriots game was unbelievable. And then, of course, and then you get a game with a couple of young quarterbacks like the Dolphins and the Chargers on Sunday night, which was incredible to me to just watch that young talent. It's great to see Tua have 2 games in a row, even that he's played well, even though they lost to Buffalo. I thought that was a gallant effort by the Dolphins squad to go up in that weather and have a chance to win that game.
That was the craziest game because they thought they were going to get snow all game, and then it took until the fourth quarter. But, my gosh, it was a blizzard the way it was coming down in the fourth quarter. That was crazy stuff. If you're looking at most improved player, I mean, the one that pops up in my mind, it's obvious because it's positional, but Trevor Lawrence, all of a sudden, he's really become a defining NFL quarterback.
He really is, and I give Doug Peterson a lot of credit for that. Not only as a guy who knows how to coach a football team, but as a former quarterback himself, he's really been able to help him start to play with a lot of confidence. The way Coach McDonald is doing with Tua in Miami, and it just makes a difference to have your head coach have that offensive side of the ball as their mainstay and believe in your quarterback. It makes a big difference. But, yeah, I mean, this Jacksonville team, they are really starting to feel themselves and play with a lot of confidence, and they got a chance to win the division with the way the Titans seem to be struggling a little bit.
Well, their owner, you got to give him credit. He got rid of Urban Meyer as quickly as he could.
Yeah, and gutsy move by the organization, but you can just see what a different player Trevor Lawrence is under a coach that has his act together and believes in him.
All right, so the Philadelphia Eagles are still amongst the elite, but it looks like the Bears may have sidelined their quarterback for the big showdown with Dallas coming up here this weekend on Christmas, which is sad to me. I would have loved to have seen that. Does the Eagle game plan have too much of Jalen Hurts running the ball?
I don't think they have too much. Certainly, it wouldn't hurt them to dial it back, especially those runs that are between the tackles, because those can be very risky for a quarterback.
He scored on one of those against the Bears, just straight up the middle. They parted the sea. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that this offensive staff has just determined that they're going to use their assets to the best of their ability, and his ability to run and throw has been fantastic. What I think goes under the radar a lot with Jalen Hurts this year is how much more accurate a passer he is than he had been the last 2 years. He has really throwing the ball extremely well, and that creates nightmares for defensive coordinators trying to stop this offense too. They can run it, they can throw it. He is an X factor. So I mean, yeah, I mean, it does take away the luster a little bit of this game, but I think the way the Eagles are playing, I don't know that they take their foot off the pedal, and the Cowboys are under a lot more pressure to win this game than the Eagles at this point.
At the moment, the Buccaneers are the 4 seed, and the Cowboys would actually be the 5 seed. My question for you is, do the Bucs win the division, or will Carolina or the Saints, now a game behind both of them, will they catch them?
It's hard to say, man, because Buffalo, I mean, the Bucs just have not played well. I mean, that first half or the second half of that game was horrible. They just have so many instances where they're up and down, and as you get closer to playoff time, you just can't survive with that kind of inconsistency. I do think they have a better overall team than both the Saints and the Falcons, but they got to do it between the lines in those 4 quarters, and they just have not gotten their act together offensively with any kind of consistency whatsoever.
The Lions are a great story. Now 7-7. Green Bay's a game behind them with their win last night. I think Green Bay definitely has to win out. So here's what Detroit's remaining schedule is. The Panthers this week, and that's on Saturday. Then the Bears, the Bears now have the second worst record in the league behind the Houston Texans. And then at Green Bay, final week of the year. They've got to at least win 2 out of 3 to make the playoffs and still get some help. Green Bay's got like a 12% chance to make it. Do the Lions make the playoffs?
Man, I think they got a really good chance. I mean, this team really is playing with a lot of confidence on both sides of the ball. And with that schedule, I mean, basically they'd have to beat Green Bay, and they've done it. I mean, they can do it. I think they got a really good chance. I'm pulling for them.
If they do, they will upset what is something we've never seen before because they've added this extra team. At the moment, if the playoffs started today in the NFC, the Eagles are the number 1 team. They get the bye. The Vikings are the number 2 seed. They play the Washington Commanders. San Francisco's the 3 seed. They play the Giants. And we mentioned the Bucs at 4 would play the Cowboys at 5. That would mean every NFC East team would make the playoffs.
That's probably a first. And it'll be interesting to see. But again, the Commanders are a surprising team this year. That the only team that beat the Eagles, and a team that really plays extremely well defensively, and their offense is serviceable. So yeah, I mean that would be fascinating to see. Somebody's got to lose in NFC East for Detroit to have a chance to get in there. But I think there is a good chance that they could wiggle in. I mean, those teams play each other going down the stretch.
Right.
So we'll have to see.
It's going to be fun. The other now, if we go to the AFC, the new hot team is the team, by the way, that was the loser in the Super Bowl last year. Usually that doesn't happen, and that's Cincinnati and Joe Burrow. And now they are 10-4, and in my mind, they are extremely dangerous. If I were Buffalo, if I were Kansas City, I'd be worried about Cincinnati.
Well, for 2 reasons. One, they're extremely talented offensively. And their defense is respectable, very good against the run, very decent against the pass. But they've got the playoff experience. You mentioned it. They were in the Super Bowl last year. They know what that experience of going from regular season to playoffs is like, and they're a young team. So, I mean, I think those teams have to be concerned, but Kansas City, they've got the Andy Reid. They've got the greatest quarterback we've seen in a long time. They're going to be in the hunt. And then Buffalo, to me, Buffalo is the best team in the AFC because of Josh Allen in this defense. And even the games that they've lost have been games where Josh Allen just didn't play well. I mean, he rarely throws interceptions in the red zone like he's done earlier in the year that cost him games. And for them to come back and play the way they did against Miami in a really tough physical game, man, 11-win season. I mean, this team, to me, is the team to beat in the AFC. And if teams have to go to Buffalo to win, that's going to be tough.
Yeah, I agree. That win against Miami was really cool, and that blizzard hit. That's when Allen stepped up. It was fun to watch. All right, Jeff Moore, your final thoughts on Week 15 or what you're looking forward to with Week 16?
Well, certainly the continue. I'm watching the AFC South and trying to see what happens with those Jags and Titans as they go down the stretch the rest of the season. And there'll be some interest in the Eagles-Cowboys, even though Jalen Hurts probably won't play. I think that's a game where we really get to see, what this Cowboy team is really made of, because they have really struggled the last couple of weeks. Unfortunately, at the quarterback position with the kind of turnovers that Dak Prescott has had.
That last interception, no, that's really – I know the throw was a little low, but I think that's on the receiver.
It's on the receiver some, and then this defense that's been stellar all season now, they had to struggle against the Texans. They couldn't stop the Jags. So, I mean, this team's got a lot to still prove, and it's going to be interesting to see how they play against a really good Eagles team.
It is going to be fun, that is for sure. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
And Happy New Year, I'll say in advance, but we'll see you next Tuesday. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That's our friend, Jeff Moore. He's brought to you in part by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and my friends at Conway are reminding you there's going to be a rate increase because of government regulations. And they're saying, replace your old inefficient system now, beat that price increase, get a new heating and cooling system. And if you do, and there's different brands that you can get, if you do, and call Conway at 384-3511, you get a free furnace. A free furnace. And by the way, they're going to throw in a free Nest thermostat. That is the newest, latest, and greatest technology. All you got to do is make that call. Beat the price increase. Get the free furnace and thermostat by calling 384-3511. That's Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. We go to Indy in a minute. We talk college hoops with the Hall of Famer Mike DeCourcy. He's next.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
It's the season of giving back at Gossett Kia on the Pike, and Kia is leading the way with donations to our very own St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Buy a ride until December 31st and Kia will donate for you. Get 41 MPG Highway and 2023 Kia Forte LSX. $234 a month, 36-month lease, $27.99 to its signing. Get a thrill in 2023 Kia K5 LSX. $296 a month, 36-month lease, $31.99 to its signing. And if we don't have what you want, not a problem. Let Bobby J order a new ride for you today, and you won't pay over MSRP. Plus, Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Ask for Bobby J. He'll put you in a new Kia today. Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Code 650 acquisition fee, Forte PE 545,584, MSRP 22,150, K5 PG 186,690, MSRP 27,765. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through KFA Hyundai. Excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 1/3/23. Dealer stock only. Warranties limited. Powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Hey guys, Platinum Jewelers wants to make you feel like a king or queen this holiday season and all year long. It's where the Tigers and Grizzlies go. Platinum Jewelers specializes in diamond engagement rings and customization, and they have a wide variety of watches, bracelets, earrings, and rings. They'll pay top dollar for your gold and diamonds, and wholesale pricing is available. Platinum Jewelers, 9387 Poplar Avenue in Germantown, next to Fresh Market. Call 901-907-0626. Platinum Jewelers, proud supporters of the Memphis Tigers.
Add a little excitement to your sports watching experience by betting on all the action on FanDuel Sportsbook. There's a reason why FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. Their app is simple to use. They've got great odds on all different betting markets, unique, fun bet types like same-game parlay, and exclusive, always-on promotions such as enhanced odds boosts on the biggest events to let you get more action out of every game day. And if you win, they even get you your winnings safely in as little as 24 hours. If you've never tried FanDuel Sportsbook, what are you waiting for? Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started and be sure to sign up with promo code CASH so they know I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code CASH. Must be 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only, $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
To Indy we go. Time to talk to the Hall of Famer, Mike DeCourcy, lead college basketball analyst from the Sporting News, also writing a lot about the World Cup. I watch you. You've become, I think, the greatest supporter in the history of Greg Berhalter. You know what, though? I'm with you. I think he deserves it. We just talked a little earlier. He deserves a 4-year deal, not just a 2-year deal. 4 years and see what happens. I think he's earned that.
I look at it as there is this notion among some American soccer fans that we're just not good enough, that we don't know the game well enough, that if you do not come from Europe or South America, you can't coach at that level. That's the perception. And the amazing thing is that Lionel Scaloni, who just got done winning the World Cup, had never coached as a head coach above the under-20 level before he was given the Argentina national team. And he just won the World Cup. The coach at Morocco, who got his team into the Final Four as sort of the St. Peter's of the World Cup,
right,
was coaching in the Moroccan League. Did a great job there was impressive enough that he ultimately got the sort of the Yankees of the Moroccan League job and did really well with that. And so it's this concept that because he coached in MLS and wasn't a champion in MLS, he's not good enough. And the thing was that I watched every game they played when he was at just about every game they played when he was at Columbus, and I knew he was really gifted. And I think he's built a really successful culture there. And I think that that's what you need to be a successful team. People have to want to play for you. And there are elements of strategy and that sort of thing. But what they get caught up in now, Dave, is that as if strategy is only on the offensive end.
Right.
That's if you're not scoring goals, you're not doing a good job. Well, maybe you've not built for that, and so you're built for defense and controlling the ball and not allowing the other team a lot of chances. And that's how this team was built. They don't have a great creative player yet, and they don't have a great striker to finish goals yet. Hopefully those two things will be solved in the next 4 years, and if they are, you'll see a more attacking, a more goal-oriented style of play than you saw with this team, which was a more defensive-oriented.
All right, last thing on the World Cup, because I do want to get to hoops with you, but many are saying the greatest final ever. I think they forget about, that this thing's been played for, 80, 100 years, whatever it is. And there were great dynasties before that. They forget about Pele, and they forget about Beckenbauer, and they don't forget about Maradona because now Messi has surpassed him in many people's eyes. Where do you rate this?
Yeah, I have to say that what I was told on Sunday morning when the game was going on, okay, if France wins, we want you to talk about Messi, and if we want you to talk about Mbappe, and if Argentina wins, we want you to talk about Messi, and then for your sidebar, we want you to write, was this the greatest final ever? And right away, my thought was, that's too limiting. because when you see a game like that, like, okay, you're starting to think, okay, Duke, Kentucky, and the greatest Super Bowls and the greatest NBA Finals games and the greatest. That's where I started to go with it, because I think that, I mean, I the one that was here in America in '94 was a 0-0 draw and went all the way to penalties. So, I mean, there hasn't been really, in my period of following soccer going back to '90, hasn't been anyone anywhere near this. And then you go back to Pele's days and '74 with Germany,
right.
West Germany going against Netherlands and Johan Cruyff. And I didn't really get to see those games because they weren't on TV here, so I can't really necessarily speak to that. But so you have to then depend on people who were. But I think that you start to put it in the greatest games that were ever played in any sport, and I think it belongs in that category.
I'm with you. It had me on the edge of my seat for the entirety of it all, and that save by Martinez, and then the ones that he made in the shootout were brilliant. And Messi gets. I mean, it's a great story because Messi goes out in finally getting the one thing he hadn't had. All right, let me get to hoops because we're going to run out of time, and I want to start with new polls and how much parity there might be, but let's zero in to just begin with the Tigers, who, go to Alabama, number 4 team in the country, play them to within 3, and then beat A&M and lose votes in the already receiving votes. Go from 26 to 31. How does that happen?
Because the polls are dumb. I hate them. I don't
you.
even want to know. They're just a waste of time. What is interesting to me, and when we talked a month ago or so, I said, go 3-1. 2-2 wouldn't be bad against that SEC run, but if you go 3-1, you've really got something. And they went almost like 3.5 to 0.5. I mean, to play as well against Alabama as they did was really impressive.
Well, then really, I mean, don't forget the Vandy win. So they're 4-1 against the SEC, and they're 6-1 against Power 5.
What was interesting to me as I looked at the net rankings to prepare for today and to look at their profile, their team sheet, and the SEC is going to be horrified by this. But all three, aside from the Alabama game and the Auburn game, the other 3 SEC games are all quad 3 games.
I know.
I mean, the SEC should be horrified by that. Those are all quad 3 games, and I don't know what that's going to mean for their league, but I think over time, if some of those teams do okay in the league, I think those wins will be enriched and maybe start to migrate toward quad 2.
Right.
But those are really good wins for the Tigers, and I think that what they have to do now, what they have done to this point, is they have not lost to anybody that's not good.
Right.
And so they can't put any of those on their resume now because
which is the opposite of last year, where they lost to a bad Georgia team and a bad Ole Miss team.
Right. They can't. There's no reason to put those on their resume now. If you lose on the road at mid-level, let's say a Temple or somebody like that, I don't even know if Tigers go, but somebody like that. If you lose one of those, it's okay. But don't put any of the real bottom teams on the road. Take care of business. That's what the Tigers have to do. And now in the American, that means really kicking a lot of butt. I mean, they have to do that to get where they want to go. They're 42 now in the net. I think that an excellent performance in the American could get them up into the mid to high 20s at the least. And then I think that you're talking about being competitive for a quality seed. And remember, those Houston games, I mean, Houston's really good, but you played Alabama on the road to that. If you did that, you can maybe get one against Houston, and that would be enormous for the Tigers' resume.
Right. If you were doing your bracketology, which I know you're going to do later in the year, where would you have Jerry Palm's got him like an 8 seed. I believe Lenardi's got him as a 6 seed. Where would you put the Tigers right now?
Yeah, I have to. My first bracket will be next Tuesday.
Okay.
So that'll be coming out then, and I would probably say that I would put them somewhere in that 7-8 range, somewhere around there. I mean, that's without looking at anybody else's. But I think the problem that they have right now is that those are high quality wins against high major teams, but the numbers right now aren't showing up in the way they'd want. At this time of year, one of the things that I factor in that maybe others don't is, major conference wins, big, and sometimes I might bleed that into a Great Valley team or something like that. If you've got legit wins, and the Tigers do, I think that really adds to your profile, because it also, what it does is it feeds into what you are as a team and what you'll eventually accomplish.
Got to hope that all these SEC teams, Nebraska and Stanford, that they do well and get those wins to a better position. Purdue won, UConn 2. They were nowhere near anybody at the top of the top 25 in preseason polls. Have we got more parity this year than before?
I think there's a couple of things at work. One is, I do think that there is not a vast difference between among the first 15 to 20 teams. I don't think there's a separation there like that we will have in the past, where there'd be 3 or 4 teams that are just hard to play against. Now, there are some very good teams, Houston, Alabama, Kansas, etc., but I don't think we have that kind of separation. And the other thing is that when you look at UConn and Purdue, I say this, Dave, when we do these rankings now, we know less about the teams than we've ever known, because you're not just checking freshmen and trying to fit a couple guys. Okay, he's a freshman. He'll probably play 20 minutes a game, and he'll average 7 points. Now you're like, oh, my God, they've got 6 new guys.
Right.
And that guy was good in the Southern Conference, and that guy was good in the WAC or whatever. And how will he translate to high major? And there's so many different questions now.
I'm in agreement there, but you know what? We should know more. Because, honestly, I mean, if a poll guy is really doing his homework, if you've got ESPN Plus, you can watch every game.
Yes.
So
I'm not talking about now.
Oh, okay.
But I'm talking about preseason.
I got you.
If you don't see these teams play, it's because you're not trying at all. You can see everything now.
Right. And that's the beauty of it. And I agree. It always takes time for the season to play out. And with every team, like A&M's got 9 new players. 6 of them are in the rotation. They're going to get better as the year goes on. But, you don't know when the season begins. It's crazy.
Yes. It'll help the Tigers if they do trend toward better. And, Buzz is a really good coach. And that's what you do as a fan of a particular team. Is once you've beaten somebody, you want them to win every game rest of the year.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Mike. We appreciate it. Merry Christmas to you and to Debbie. And Happy New Year, but we'll talk next week.
Happy holidays to you and to Gail and to everybody, all my friends in Memphis. You still have a big part of my heart, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week.
Thank you. He's the Hall of Famer. That is Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News. He's brought to you by Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders, and he's brought to you by Memphis Tourism. All those wonderful high school teams that were in town bringing money to our economy came from Memphis Tourism. That's Kevin Kane, J.J. Greer, Katie Ligon, all those people. They do so much for the city of Memphis, and for years, that's what Ken Garland has done. 751-1632, that's his number. If you would love a new home or maybe a renovation, Ken Garland is your guy. And he knows it's a big decision, financial commitment. That's why he will work closely with his clients and make sure you get what you should expect. Quality construction, on time, on budget. If it's a renovation and you want the modern amenities in that old home where you love your lot and that feel, you don't want to move. He can make that new home, that old home, a modern palace. Go see what I'm talking about. Go to kengarland.com, then call 751-1632. Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. We will have Jason Munz tomorrow in the first slot. And then, of course, Brett Norsworthy and Jarvo. It'll be a big day tomorrow. Have a great afternoon. Don't forget Johnny Radio. He's next.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Willoshin here for Homer Skelton Hyundai.